Hi guys, welcome to part 3 of this mini money series. If you haven't been through part 1 and 2, head over to my channel and go through those, or else today won't make any sense, and we will see you back here for part 3. Hi guys, don't forget to hit that notification bell and that subscription button, not in that order, so that you know when the next video goes up and you don't miss a thing. This week we are balancing the budget. So in week 1 we looked at our personal finances and we got our personal home budgets in order. Last week we were looking at the expectations of a wedding, so what people expect you to have for a wedding and what you expect for yourself versus what your reality budget is likely to be. This week we're looking at how can we get those two budgets to balance. So grab your personal budget from week 1 and your budgets from week 2 and we will get started. So we've got a little bit more maths involved this week, and I've also got an awesome freebie that usually is only available to my paying clients, so stay tuned for that. The ideal person for this course is really somebody who is either engaged and looking to be engaged for a while, or is still girlfriend and boyfriend with their other half but they know that marriage is on the horizon, or somebody who hasn't even got a partner but knows that they want to get married one day and wants to get started. If your wedding is next year and you've already started the proper planning process and you've already booked things, this is probably not the best course for you to have gone through, just because you haven't really got much time and you're going to be limited on your ways of being able to balance this budget. But if you're in any of the other categories, then you are prime for making sure that you start your married life in a debt-free situation. So what I want you to do is take your wedding budget, your actual budget, that third column that we did last week, whatever that total was, and for example, I'm going to say £12,000, I want you to take that £12,000 and divide it between now and the wedding date. So if you haven't got a date set yet, use whenever it is that you're planning on getting married. So for me, if we say it's going to be in 2 years, so for sake of this sum, we'll do £12,000 over the next 2 years and then we'll get married in October 2021. Take a month off because you usually have to pay all your vendors up front 30 days before the wedding, so you have to pay all your balances then. So take off a month, so that gives you 23 months between now and then. So you divide 12,000 by 23 and that will give you the amount of money that you need to save each month between now and your wedding. So £521 a month is what you would be looking at based on £12,000 over the next 2 years. But that's between two of you, remember. Obviously, if you haven't got a significant other yet and you just know you want to get married, you won't have particularly a wedding date in mind yet, so you'll be able to reduce the amount that you're paying into your wedding fund each month, so you'll have longer to do it. But if you were to do it in 2 years, that's what you'd be looking at. Now, if you look at your figures and maybe you're planning on spending more than 12,000, that will give you an idea of how much you've got to save to make sure that you're debt free. Now obviously as you plan the wedding you'll be taking money out of the wedding fund, but you need to make sure that there's just an automatic savings there going into it so that you know that the 12,000 will have been put into it over that period. Now you need to look at budget 1 and look at your savings pot. Now remember we said that this savings pot was for things like holidays, birthdays and Christmas presents, etc. and it should be at least 10% of your wages. Now if you're looking at that figure and that figure doesn't match your monthly wedding fund budget, we've got an imbalanced budget. You're not going to be able to save £521 a month if your savings is only coming in at £300 a month and you still want to go on holiday and you still want to buy people birthday presents and Christmas presents. It's not going to happen. So now we need to look at how we can make that budget balance. So there are a few things that you can do to balance your budget. If you haven't booked your date yet, and this is why I said if you've already booked your date, it's a little bit more difficult. If you haven't booked your date yet, look at moving your date. So look at what you are comfortable with saving a month, and you may put some of these other tips into action as well so you can save a bit more. But look at what you're comfortable saving each month, and then divide the 12,000 by the amount that you're comfortable with, and that'll tell you how many months ahead you need to book your wedding. So you can look at moving your wedding date. And remember, this is if you want to spend the money that you've put in this budget, that it's not set in stone. So if you think, well, actually, no, I don't want to wait that long, then you need to look at reducing your budget and what you can do to reduce the amount of money you're spending. Another way to bump up your savings is to cut out TV packages, TV subscription channels, and anything else that's subscription based that you don't need on your bills. So you could go down to the basic TV package, watch a DVD instead, borrow DVDs off people, and just become film buffs instead of TV watchers for a year or two whilst you're saving for your wedding. It's called prioritising, isn't it? So it's, you know, if you really, really want to get married and you really, really want to spend that kind of money, you will be happy to cut back on some other things. So drop a night out a month, use some of your guilt-free spending money, like commit to not going out once a month and putting that 50 quid each into the wedding pot instead. And then you need to do some research. So if that's still not balancing, if you cut back on things and you've upped it and you're still not balancing for when you want to get married, you need to look at, like I said, cutting back your wedding budget. So look at where you can get the best bang for your buck. Ask for referrals, ask friends who they used, what their charges were. If you have got friends that are particularly skilled in an area, and by particularly skilled I mean do this as part of their side hustle or their career, not somebody who you just think is better than you, because that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to perform for you on your wedding day. But if you've got a friend that's good at sewing and you've got a particular sewing task that needs doing for your wedding, you know, you can ask friends to help out. There are other things that you can do, like if you desperately want to have wedding favours, you can make something. There are other areas that you can DIY, but you don't want to take on too much responsibility that is going to make it unpleasant for you planning your wedding. You don't want it to be unpleasant. So just look at trying to find a cheaper venue. Like I said last week, look at what's important to you. Is it more about the family and the community of the family coming together, so you want to focus on those communal aspects and have a good old party, and you're not so fussed on the details of the day, the dress, the centerpieces and things like that aren't as important? You can cut back on your costs there. Or is it more about you and your other half, and you're not so fussed about having lots of people there, and you create a more intimate ceremony for yourselves and a small wedding party? Going to look more at creating the wedding that you want and how you can sit down and talk to your other half about that probably next week. But if not, it's a video that will come up in the near future, and we'll look at how to create a wedding that fits your budget and fits what you want for your wedding day, because there is no one size fits all, and it should be personal to you regardless of what anyone else thinks. You know, other people's opinions don't matter. So that's it for this week, guys, and that is the end of our mini series. If you have enjoyed this last 3 weeks with me, then please put a comment in down below and let me know what your favourite bit has been and what you learned. I would love to share that with you. And if you've got any questions, then do also ask in the comments and I will be sure to give you an answer. So thanks for joining me this week, guys, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.